Okay, Jenny, you're on.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 5:33 p.m. and I am calling to order the special meeting of the Concord School Board for scheduling. And the first thing that I will do, first thing I want to do is thank you to Josh Hardy of CCTV and to the district staff for making the technology available. This is kind of our test run of the remote technology that we'll be using for our public hearing on the budget and for our monthly meeting. So the first thing that I will do is to take the roll to determine what members are participating. And this is required under RSA 91A, right to know law. Typically, if we have a member participating remotely, we have to have a quorum physically present. However, the governor issued an emergency order number 12 that allows us, due to the COVID-19 emergency and the need to be distant from each other, to have all board members participating in separate locations as a protection of public health. And I've made a determination that for this meeting and for future meetings, we will all be participating remotely. We do need to be sure that participating members are able to speak and to hear each other. And we also need to know whether anyone else is present in the room from which the board member is participating. We don't anticipate taking any votes during this particular meeting, but if we do take a vote, it will be by roll call. So the first thing that I'll do is go through the board members in alphabetical order, and I'll ask each of you, are you present? Ask you to speak, ask you whether you can hear, and ask whether anyone else is present in the room where you are participating. So, Ms. Cannon, are you present?
I am present. I can hear you, and no one is in the room with me.
Great, thank you. Mr. Croto, are you present?
I am present, and I am alone in the room, and I can hear fine. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. Crush, are you present?
I am present. I'm alone in the room, and I can hear you fine.
Great, thank you very much. Ms. Higgins, are you present?
I am here alone in my living room at the meeting.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Parker, are you present?
I am present. I'm here in my room, in my porch, alone, and I can hear just fine. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Ms. Poinier, are you present? Well, I don't believe. Oh, you are.
I'm here. I'm by myself, and I can hear. Although everyone sounds a little watery, and but that's probably true for whatever we use. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. And I think one thing is, if people could have their mics off when they're not speaking, I think it may help with the sound quality. And we will get better at this over time. Mr. Richards, are you present?
I am here. I can hear you, and I am alone in the room.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Smith, are you present? So I don't believe Danielle Smith is present. Again, this is not a meeting for which any board member's attendance is required, so that is fine. And I'm Jennifer Patterson. I'm the president of the board. I can speak, I can hear, I can see, and no one else is present in the room with me. So I will ask Dr. Bass to just introduce himself and the other district staff who are present in the boardroom and participating remotely.
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. Frank Bass, Superintendent. Next to me is Jack Dunn, who is our Business Administrator. Upstairs is Donna Paley, our Assistant Superintendent. And I believe remotely at home is Lyndon Jackett. And I believe that's it for SAU staff, unless Larry's here.
I'm here too.
Okay, Larry too.
Larry, this is Larry. This is Larry. I am here.
And I'm here too. It's Matt Cashman.
Oh, Matt, thank you. Sorry.
Great.
No problem.
So we have Larry, Matt, and Donna remotely. We have Jack and Frank in the boardroom, and then we have Josh Hardy from CCTV who's in the boardroom recording.
That's correct.
Great. All right, that is everyone. Thank you all so much. Next, I wanted to address the question of the backup chair. And just to let everyone know, in the event I lose connectivity, which is possible, I don't have a perfect connection, or am unable to participate in the meeting, I've determined in consultation with the Vice President Jim Richards and the Secretary Barb Higgins that Gina Cannon will chair the meeting if I am unable to continue to do so. Gina has been participating in training through New Hampshire School Boards Association, specifically on the right to know requirements and procedures for conducting meetings under the circumstances right now, which are very challenging with respect to the right to know law and the emergency situation. So I very much appreciate Gina's willingness to serve as my backup. Thank you, Gina. So next, I need to make an emergency declaration. Specifically to suspend the presence of a quorum or a physical location requirement due to the COVID-19 emergency meeting under the Governor's Emergency Order number 12. So under the right to know law, RSA 91A, it's necessary for me to state the nature of the emergency and to have that included in the minutes. So in calling the meeting, I, the board president, in consultation with interim superintendent Frank Bass, determined that the protection of public health in keeping with the governor's emergency order number 12 dictates that no physical location be provided for today's meeting and that all board members participate remotely. So pursuant to paragraph 3 of the governor's emergency order number 12, I declare this to be an emergency meeting per 91A2 Roman 3B, qualifying for suspension of the requirement that a quorum be physically present at the physical location of the meeting. And in addition, that we are also suspending the requirement for a physical location based on the following steps that the district has taken, and this is consistent with that emergency order number 12. So members of the public can observe the meeting by watching on CCTV, by joining on their computers, or by calling in on their phones. At this particular meeting, we're not taking public comment, so the public lines will remain muted except for a brief discussion of the public hearing on April 12th. This meeting has been posted for more than 24 hours on the district's website, including information about how to participate remotely, and information about the meeting was disseminated last week to community members. In the event that the public is having a challenging time observing the meeting, district staff will be available by phone for members of the public to contact them if they are unable to connect to the meeting. And that number is 603-513-9008. So do call that number if there's any technical problems and you're a member of the public trying to observe the meeting. If there seems to be a systemic problem that prevents the public from observing the meeting, then the district staff will inform me and I'll recess the meeting if the problem can be addressed quickly and adjourn the meeting if it cannot be addressed quickly. So on the basis of all of these actions, I believe the meeting may go forward without a physical location, and that holding the meeting in this manner is consistent with the emergency order, other relevant provisions of RSA 91A, and the protection of public health during the COVID-19 emergency. So that was a mouthful. Thank you for bearing with me. The purpose of this meeting basically takes the place of our usual executive committee meeting. That's a very informal meeting where administrators present information on our upcoming schedule of meetings as well as the agenda for the upcoming monthly board meeting. For this particular meeting, we decided to do it live so members of the community could know what is coming up because we have modified our schedule based on the emergency situation. We've also invited all board members to attend and to participate. We do not intend to take public comment at this meeting or to vote or to decide on anything substantive, but we really wanted to use this as an opportunity to test the technology so that all of the public meetings that we have coming up where we will have public participation can go smoothly. So I will now turn it over to Dr. Bass and the central office staff so that they can present the upcoming schedule of meetings and the agenda for our monthly board meeting on April 6th. So thank you, Dr. Bass.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of public address comments, if I could. Jack and I participated in a TV show today at Josh Hardy's studio with Senate President Donna Soucy and Senator Dan Feltus. It was a great opportunity for the community to realize what's happening at the state level, what folks are doing to try and make things come together in the best way possible. New Hampshire seems to be ahead of the curve, and I think it's because of the way people have responded to the governor's orders. The school system has done, I think, a really nice job of pulling together ideas, thoughts, and supports for a number of fronts that are going on. Jack will talk about the food drive that took place today. The nurses have done just yeoman's work in terms of providing a number of materials and opportunities for our hospital. The Homeland Security also borrowed some of our materials. So I think everyone has really stepped up in trying to make this situation as palatable, as doable as possible, and I think it's important for our public to know that. We have a good remote learning program going right now, and we're very proud of that, but I'm equally as proud, if not more so, in terms of what everyone has done to try and step up and help out in this time of crisis. So I did want to make that public address if I could. I'll turn it over to Jack to give you more specificity of what the upcoming schedule is, and then I'll come back with some further comments. Jack?
Thanks, Frank.
Yep.
Great. All right, I am going to share my screen. See if I can bring up the agenda. Wrong one. Hold on. Not that one. Yep, I'm just looking for the hang on 1 second. Not that.
Hear you, and I can see your screen, and
Has the agenda, you can see that?
I see the
It's
first
the
slide.
first
of the
page.
slide presentation that
Just
says
scroll down.
special board meeting, scheduling and budget update.
Let me hide the pane. Okay. So if you can hear me, so this was the proposed schedule for the April 6th monthly board meeting.
So I'm not seeing the schedule, I'm just seeing the slide, and I think it may work better if
Just talk through it.
Jack,
Yep.
Frank, one of you shuts off your computer and you both speak through the same computer.
Okay, I'll turn off mine.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to broadcast.
Dismiss. Okay, I'm on. Okay, try it now, Jack.
I'm going to try to connect on to, yeah, now it's not doing it now, I don't think. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. So,
Much better.
good. Let me just broadcast onto the projector here in the boardroom. 1 second.
And this is exactly why we're doing this now. So
Yes.
this is all good.
There we go.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
I still see just the first slide of a slide deck.
Yep.
I don't see.
Not a problem. I'll correct that.
Okay.
How about now?
Okay, I can see part of the agenda. If over on the left side of your screen, there's an option for people on remote to advance the slides. That's how I found it.
Oh, really?
You can talk, Jack.
Yeah, I can talk, but I need them to see what's on the screen, and I don't know why I have all that excess stuff in there. But
So I think I'm now seeing your screen, Jack. I'm seeing the draft agenda.
Yeah, it's there.
and it's
Okay.
pulling up
Yep.
the-
Yeah, we're good.
I think you are where you want to be.
Yep. So here, this is the draft agenda for the monthly board meeting. Call to order, approval of agenda, and then there's all the various minutes. Jenny, I think you had asked to add the emergency board meeting from the March 15th, so those meeting minutes will be included. And then we will have the special board meeting. And then as far as the public hearing minutes, we'll make an attempt to try to get those in as well. For the recognitions, we'll have the board, the student representatives, I'm assuming they'll come on as well. As far as the Grange, I don't know whether that's something you want to postpone. Right now, they have not delivered the dictionaries, but we had offered them the ability to speak about that program and the history of that program. But it may be worth delaying that. And then, does that make sense?
I think so. These are actual physical dictionaries, or are they
Yep.
things that will be delivered?
They get
now?
delivered to the third grade, and we've put that off till May. They were to be delivered by now, but with all that was going on, obviously we had to delay that.
Right, we're not delivering it to their houses.
No. No.
I think Tina has a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I had to get to the unmute. In the advice given out by the New Hampshire School Board Association, they suggest that anything that is not absolutely necessary to be done under the emergency procedures to be put off until there is a chance to do it where the public can physically attend.
Yeah. And I think this is a group that would want to attend the board meeting and give their side of it. Trying to do this virtually probably doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think we can take it off the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the entitlement grants for the assurances, that's just a sign off. You typically vote on that on who's authorized to sign off on the grants. So that's just more of a procedural thing that we have to do annually. And then you had requested a public comment right before personnel.
And so I think to my mind, and really to Tina's point, the most important things that we are doing at this meeting are to, approve the minutes, and then we want to consider the Concord High principal nomination, and the compliance officer nomination. And then just to hear updates on the superintendent search and possibly to consider extending the time frame for the superintendent search. I know we want to go forward, but in the circumstances, there may need to be some modifications made.
So under the personnel, then you'll see a professional leave of absence, which doesn't have any budget impact for next year. Then you'll see the administrator nominations, which is one for the compliance officer and then one for the high school principal. And then if we skip down to H with the veteran salary scale and the coaching nominations, we were thinking all those could be done at this meeting. Because the veteran salary scale has a time piece that goes to it. Once the board approves it, then that person has 20 days to reconsider.
Yeah, I think those make sense, and I think the ones that I had mentioned to you, Jack, that we probably should put off to a meeting after we approve the budget are the contract renewal, because I would not want us to make a decision that presupposes any particular outcome with respect to the budget. So I think what I want to do is in 6D, E, and F, and possibly C, we would take off of the agenda for April 6th, and we would add to either a new meeting on April 15th, or we would do it after we vote on the budget on April 14th. I don't know what's happening with my sound. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I noticed it too.
This is Larry. If there's a preference, I would prefer that you approve them after the April 13th budget, if you had an agenda for these items after that, because obviously we'll have to issue contracts and we're kind of under a crunch. So it's not absolutely critical or emergency, but if you can do it on the 13th after you approve the budget, that would be great.
I think that makes sense, Gary. Let's not do a special meeting on the 16th. I think we want as few meetings as possible anyway.
Okay, so we'll add that then for the 13th unless somebody else has comments.
This is Lyndon. Can I just ask a quick question? C, new staff nominations, Larry, are those people who need to know that they're hired?
No, they also would be for 2021.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so let's take C, D, E, and F, and we'll put them on the 13th. So we'll take them off of this agenda.
Okay.
D, E, and F.
Thank you.
C, D, E, and
C.
F.
Okay, yeah.
And then there'll be an update on the superintendent search. I'm assuming Tom will be able to do with that.
Yeah, Tom, did you have any comments on how to structure that? I wasn't sure whether we wanted it as updates on the individual meetings or just an overall update. And I guess the action item that we may consider is that under the circumstances, we clearly want to continue to have the degree of public input and making our finalists public that we had originally anticipated. But the circumstances are such that it's going to take a little bit longer, and we still need to make a final decision on exactly how that process will work remotely. So that was the discussion that I thought we would try to have during the monthly meeting, and whatever you want, however you want to structure it, Tom, we would want to honor and respect that.
Okay.
Tom, do you have any comments at this time? Sounds like Gina has a comment, so why don't you go ahead, Gina, and Tom, if you want to. Go ahead. Oh, look. Yeah, Tom, why don't you go ahead, and Gina, I'll get you in a second.
Okay, my microphone says that it's muted, and then when I unmute it, I get muted. So it's tricking me, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you answered what I would have said, Jenny, in your final comments, that we'll talk about a process that the process has been somewhat elongated, if you will, so that certain necessary tasks can be finished both here and elsewhere. But I think that between now and the actual board meeting, we can have some discussion that will give us a specific plan on how we'll move forward, so that we can be sure that the public is informed and that we continue our confidentiality that we must observe at this point.
Great. Thank you, Tom. And Gina, did you want to make a comment?
No, I just want to keep people to be mindful of the fact that this may be extended again, and so we may want to come up with the procedure that we'd like to follow, or the schedule that we'd like to follow, assuming everything goes well. But I'm the perennial pessimistic planner, and so I want to remind people that I think we need to have a plan B in case things do not go as expected, for laying out the time frame of the process.
Yes. No, thank you for that, Gina. And I think,
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely we will intend to have, assuming that we do go forward in the relatively near future with our finalist candidates, the opportunities to interview them will be remote, I expect, both for board members and for members of the public. So it'll take some time for us to think through exactly how to make that happen and how to do it well. But we are really committed to having public input in this process.
Jenny, that's absolutely correct, and it really is a matter of very fine timing on when we can move forward with the names and is very transparent for our district, so that our public and our staff and our board can meet folks and talk to them.
Right. And given everything on our plate, I think we're going to take things one step at a time. We're going to do the budget. We have the hearing scheduled. We're going to focus on that, get it done, then move on to the matters that we'll be considering at the monthly meeting, and then we'll devote our attention to the superintendent search. And we expect that there will be some meetings that are set up that will be remote meetings where we have further conversations about how exactly to conduct that process, and potentially even take public input on the process to make sure that it is robust. Okay. Does anyone else have comments or thoughts on the agenda for the April 6th meeting? So why don't we move on to the schedule of meetings?
Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. You should see my screen. I have the April meeting there that's showing the 5:30 board meeting tonight. We have 7 o'clock, the public hearing, which will be in this same venue, same setup as we're doing tonight. All these meetings are posted online with the links, the call-in number, all that stuff has been posted already. And Concord TV will be here to film just like they're doing tonight. So there's the 2 public hearings, and then the 13th, we have the vote on the budget at 5:30. And then an executive committee at 5 o'clock on the 20th.
Jack, just one note under the meeting on the 6th, it says superintendent finalist chosen. I think it's unlikely that
Right.
that we'll make our finalist public at that meeting. That was what we had originally anticipated, but I think that
Yep.
that's not going to happen.
Okay. Yep. We'll get rid of that.
And when, at our last meeting, we had talked about scheduling a number of other committee meetings during the month of April.
Yeah.
For now, we're putting those on hold. I think it's going to be all that we can manage to do the business of the full board, and that we'll reschedule those once we have a better sense of everything that's going on.
Okay. So in here we did the April, May, and June. So you see it's very simple. The monthly required board meeting and the executive committee towards the end of the month. Then we're into Memorial Day. Any questions on May?
May looks good.
And then I move into June, the monthly board meeting on the 1st, graduation on the 13th, and the executive committee on the 22nd. Wide open at this point.
Great, thank you. And again, we will be scheduling meetings, absolutely during some of these months with respect to the superintendent search, I anticipate, but we don't know yet exactly when those will be. Any questions or comments on the proposed calendar meeting? So one of the other things that it might be helpful, and Dr. Bass, maybe you were planning on speaking to this anyway, but to talk a little bit about our budget process and how it will work. We want to make sure people understand this. As Jack mentioned, all of the information about how to budget on the website. The budget materials and slides will be posted on the website. There have been decisions made to the budget since the board started to post it in light of the circumstances. And so when we have our budget hearings, there will be a robust presentation of those changes, but they also will be available ahead of time. They may already be up now, so that board members and members of the public can look at what has been changed. Jack, do you have anything that you wanted to talk through about that?
I think the biggest thing, we've posted everything you had up until we were in the mid twos for a tax rate increase, and we did not touch the staffing. What you'll see reported, we met with the monitor, Frank and I, today at 1, and went over with them the changes. I think on Friday we sent out to you the proposed staffing changes based on all the new positions or any positions that would be added to someone, and showed those reductions. But that's what we'll be highlighting on the public hearing on Thursday in the general overview. We won't have too much to say, but Frank has a comment.
Yeah, I just want to be clear about this. Obviously, Jack and I and others here and the senior staff met, and given the situation that we have in front of us, recognize that people are going to be hurting. And the last thing we want to do is to come back with a budget in the size that we had. And certainly one can make a rationale as to why that budget was necessary and what it would do for our schools. But by the same token, we don't want folks in the community to be hard-pressed in trying to meet the demands of a budget like that. So we chose to go through that and trim it down. We trimmed it down by $1.5 million. There were 22 positions that we were looking for. I think we took out 18 plus. So it's been reduced significantly, but not to the point where our schools are hurt. We didn't take anyone's position away from them. These were all new positions, and we've had to sit down with our principals and sort of reallocate how the existing resources and the new positions that we have left can be spun out into the district to make the most out of those positions. So we feel good about the budget where it's at right now. We feel that it's not going to impact the schools in any kind of negative way. And obviously we want to be cognizant of what's happening around us, and took that very much into consideration.
Great. Thank you for doing that. And again, any information that can be posted ahead of time so that the public can look at it even before the public hearing, I'm sure would be greatly appreciated. So are there other comments from the central office staff or other questions from board members? My goal was to be done by 6, so we're doing pretty well. So thank you, everybody. Dr. Best, did you have some other comments that you want to make?
As I said earlier, everybody's been really stepping forward and trying to help out, but what we didn't expect is the creative initiatives that are coming forward from a lot of folks. And so teachers are coming up with really, really neat ideas on how to engage their students. Whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, kids are coming up with neat ideas on how to prepare responses for the assignments they have. And talking to some of the kids, what we're hearing is, well, I'm kind of starting college early. I mean, I can, work at 6 o'clock in the morning, I can work at, 8 o'clock at night, or I can work at 10 in the morning. So they're getting used to that kind of flow in and out of, the day, because they're not actually having to report to class. So it's kind of interesting. The other thing we heard too, we've heard a lot from parents who, some of them are teachers and are employees, some of them are not. And all of them said the same thing. It's just a whole new world for them. And in a way, it's a positive in that they get to work with their kids on a more regular basis. Not that we want to homeschool, but it's like, gee, this is really interesting, and I never had the chance to really sit down with you over an extended period of time, to work through whatever the particular assignment is. Some parents are actually calling up and saying, hey, you sent that program home and it was really neat, but here's an idea. How about if you were to add this or you to change that? So parents are jumping in, trying to help out with, where the lesson happens to go, which I think is also really neat. So I'm really pleased with how the community, our students, teachers, and parents have responded to this. And this is a difficult situation. Believe me, this is really, really tough.
Well, thank you so much for everything you're doing. And I think that the TV shows have been wonderful in terms of getting detailed information out there. And then the information that has been going out associated with the schools on social media just is very helpful. Who else would like to add something? Go ahead, Tina.
Sorry, I had to unmute. I just wanted to say I am the proud stepmother of a high school English teacher in another state. And they are just now starting to get up and running on computers for the advanced placement classes. The rest of the classes are getting handout packets of photocopies in the mail of work to be done. I want to just commend everybody in this district for how everyone literally jumped on board to get this up and running for our kids. We are so far above the curve that it is incredible. I just was stunned when I talked to her this weekend about, that they're sending packets of photocopies through the mail. That's the work. And they're not online, and they're not having video chats, and they're not having discussions back and forth, and I just want to commend our district. I'm not sure, because we're all here and we're all kind of in a bubble. I'm not sure everyone appreciates how amazing a job our district is doing.
Thank you, Tina. I agree. I've been seeing some of those same comments from people far away, and it is amazing what we've done. Barb, did you want to speak? And Tom, I see that you want to speak after Barb. Go ahead, Barb. Oh, nope, you don't want to. Tom, go ahead.
Oh, he's got his mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay, I'm still fighting with the mute versus unmute. So mine is not a question, but just a comment about the trimming of the budget to $1 million+. I have to say that in this situation that we find ourselves in, not only across the country but here in the city of Concord, it's amazing to me how you guys, Dr. Bass and Jack and others, had the foresight to really take a good hard look at this budget. And in hindsight, you'd say, well, of course that's what you would do. With hard times, you have to make amends. But you did this a lot earlier than I would have expected. It makes me happy that you did that on behalf of the Finance Committee. I can tell you that I'm very happy that this has been trimmed down like it is. I don't like it. I would love to have a lot of the things that we've had to take out. But I think back to when we did the kindergarten program, we had some hard choices to make at that point based on our ability to pay. I think right now we're taking a look at a budget that we just can't predict what our citizens will be able to handle as well. So thank you all for that great work there.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Dave, were you wanting to speak?
Yeah, I would like to speak.
Go ahead.
First I really want to thank everybody. These are unprecedented times, and in running a school, we're into our third week. We were able to start right after that weekend, that second Tuesday, and basically keep with the same schedule that we had. But one of the things that I started to pick up on is, some of these people are really working, our faculty are working double time, and to be sensitive to the faculty's and the staff's needs, because everyone's trying so hard that I'm worried about them, and I'm worried that they get overwhelmed. In the same way with the students, I think a lot of times the academic work can get moved through, but we're seeing the effects of social isolation and how that can affect the mental health of our population. And I'm just, I'm worried, and I think we need to stay nimble, flexible, listen to each other, show kindness, show caring. It's not easy. If you have a job with the state or with the school district or something else, an institution like that, you're employed. But we all know hundreds of people that aren't, and it's really hard on the population. So thank you for everything that we do and that you do. But I think we need to stay flexible. Their needs are going to present that we don't have answers to, or we're going to have to really work hard to be creative to find them. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dave, for those comments. Jack or Dr. Bass, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, Dave's right on the money. We've had a couple of calls from folks like that, since they're, in a sense, I've got my 3 kids at home, and they're all under the age of 5. And I'm also trying to, do all the work for my kids, and I've got 125 kids I'm responsible for. So you've got some of those kinds of situations occurring. We're aware of that. We're working through that. Our principals are in touch with the teachers almost on a daily basis, and we reach out to our principals, I say, every other day. We have a remote principals conference. Donna can correct me, but we do an awful lot. Donna runs all those, and it's really great because we get a chance to actually see what the specific issues are that folks are dealing with. Are there situations where too much is being asked or too little? And so that's really worked out well. And that way we're always on top of what's really happening. It's not just a blanket position, but building by building, we're looking at where folks are at and what we need to do. And adjustments, I think Dave hinted at this. It's all about adjustments. Almost every other day, we're looking at, well, how do we adjust it to accommodate this or to accommodate that? So again, it's difficult. It's not simple. You're right. There has to be a lot of flexibility, but I think folks are doing that.
Great, thank you. Any other comments by board members? Jack, did we want to run a test of unmuting a line from the public?
Well, if I look to the right, oh, hold on, let me hit participants. If I look to the right, I don't necessarily see a member of the public, but I see one of our food service staff, who's a head cook at Krista McCullough. And if she don't mind, if she's listening, Denise, do you mind chiming in? Oh, Denise, are you there? I see the little away symbol, so maybe she is not on. She ducked out, maybe, but let me check and see if there's somebody. Sure, Gina, sure. You want to have your husband call in? Feel free.
Someone's calling from 494-3552.
Yeah, I think that's Larry.
That's Larry.
Oh, okay.
That's me.
Jack, could you say what the number is for joining the meeting?
Sure.
So that someone can call in?
It's area code 925-391-1169. And the conference ID, I'll put in the system, I'll put in the chat. 674-140-711 star. I mean pound, sorry.
So, Gina, you can see that written down on the chat.
Yep, just give me a second.
Okay, excellent.
Let me go back to the participants, see if. Nope.
So, Jack, are the people who are listed as participants the only ones who are participating or listening, other than people who might be watching the live stream?
Correct. That's all that I see.
This is Donna. My husband's on.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's I see Steve. Yeah, there he is. Is he listening?
Okay. So, Steve, do you want to go ahead and say something? Are you muted voluntarily, or are you muted obligatorily? I don't know. I see Steve stutter, and
Yeah.
I see that it's muted, but I don't know if Jack, you have to unmute that.
I shouldn't have to, but let me do this. Nope. I think he's got to hit it on his end.
Jack, could you take off your shared screen?
Take off what?
Your shared screen.
Oh.
Thank you.
That way we'll be able to see and be seen,
Sure.
I guess. Thank you, Linda. Pam McLeod, I see, is on, and
Yep.
you're unmuted.
And then I think. Oh yeah. Let me admitting. So this should be Gina. I think this is your husband, right? Make sure you're muted. Were you there, Sean?
Yeah, I'm here
Is now joining.
You there?
calling in. I am here.
There you go. Okay. Very good. Did everybody hear that?
So, Don, are you able to hear us? This is Jenny.
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. And now, Jack, when someone calls in as a member of the public, will we have the ability to, to mute their line and then unmute it, or will they just have to ask them to mute it?
I can mute them. I can hit a mute all, or you can right click and mute them. It usually gives you the ability to mute, and they can unmute themselves. Like if I go over to Sean's number right now and hit it, it'll say mute participant, and if I hit that, it'd be muted. Yes.
And he would not be able to unmute it if you.
If he's dialing in, probably not, unless there's a code that I don't know about. But if he's on a computer, they could unmute. Yes.
Because, I mean, what we want to be able to do is to obviously have people wait for the public comment, and I think probably people will.
Yep.
So, but that was the functionality that I wanted to test.
Yep.
Okay. So Sean, you're not able to unmute.
Right.
If you're forced muted. Yeah, go ahead, Sean. I hear you.
Are you using Zoom or a different meeting format?
We're using Microsoft Teams, so it's a very similar platform.
Okay. On Teams, there should be like a control of all participants, and you should be able to mute them all
Yep.
when they come on. So if they're right, so if they log in on Teams, I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to see if I can.
And I think we don't have to do it live during the meeting, but I think that that's something that is really helpful, Sean. So thank you. I appreciate it. And maybe you and Jack can talk offline.
Great idea.
And make sure that we have that capacity just when we do have, I hope, a lot more people participating during the public hearings.
Right. Okay.
And obviously, it's ideal if they log in through the computer and type their name. I know who they are. If not, I'll just identify them by their phone number, and we'll write it down. And we usually, during the process, we just go right down the list. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can just say, 603-494-3552. It's your turn to comment or something like that.
Right.
So.
And when you had me join the room, it said my name. I don't know if you heard that part.
Yes, I did hear because it asked you to speak. Yep.
So when I call in to get in, I have to give it my name, and then it tells me to wait, and then when I join it said my name. So you'll know who you're talking to.
Okay.
Well, you'll have a recorded name for the participant.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. See you later.
So, any other, so Pam,
Is now exiting.
Pam McClure, did you have a comment for tips for board members?
Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
I was just saying that next to each tile, when you hover over the person's name, there's little 3 dots there. And if you wanted one particular tile to kind of be the biggest and sort of take over, each person can set that view for themselves when they're in the meeting. So you can, it's a thumbtack icon, so you can pin that to be the biggest and the most active. Otherwise, when people's audio and video is on, it's going to automatically sort of switch to the most active person at that point in time. And we can help you separately and do a test if you'd like, if you don't see it. I could do a little screenshot too.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. And it may be different if you're doing it in your browser. I'm doing it in my browser rather than the app, and then maybe some other board members are also. So we can, again, talk offline, but that would be just for people to manage for themselves. Anything else for this meeting? So, Lyndon, thank you for being on, and I assume that you will be creating and disseminating the board packets as usual, except it will not be paper copies, it will all be electronic, but they'll come out on the usual schedule. Is that right, Lyndon?
That's the goal. That's the goal. I can say at this point.
Well, if there's anything that we can do to help with that, just let us know, and we will. But thank you. I know there are a lot of minutes that you're working on, so thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions or comments? So thank you all. I'm glad that so many board members participated. I do think that it will make it easier for the public hearing on Thursday that we're all somewhat familiar with this process, and thanks again so much to Josh and Jack and Pam and Lyndon and Dr. Bass for all of your work to make this possible for us. So hearing no other business, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Is there someone who can make that motion? And I don't think we need a roll call for an adjourn. But we can
Jenny,
take
I'll make that motion.
So was that Jim?
That's Jim.
Okay, so Jim has moved to adjourn. Is there a second?
Barb seconds it.
Barb seconds it. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:24 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.